you just never know who is going to connect with you, right? You could have 10 people say the same thing, but it's that 10th person that the listener actually connects with and they hear the message.
Yeah.
Right? So that would have been good to have recorded.
No, but I'll repeat. I remember that.
All right.
It was recording.
All right. We ready to get started, everybody?
Yes.
Okay. And 3, 2, 1. All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of Hello Haymarket. I'm your host, Daniel Nice, and today we have two wonderful guests, members of the ALC here in KW Reston. We have Gift and Glenn. Guys, welcome so much. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for inviting us.
Absolutely.
We're excited to be here, no doubt.
So when Elise and I got started and joined this market center, we noticed a couple names over and over again, selling houses, right? And your names, of course, were in the conversation, right? We'll be getting water and we'll be hearing Gift did this. And I'm thinking, okay, this is someone we need to get on the podcast. We need to have a conversation.
Who's Gift?
Yeah. So would either of you be willing to introduce yourselves a little bit, kind of give people who maybe don't know you as well as we do, a little primer?
Yes, I can start. So I've been in
ladies first, of course.
Thank you, Glenn. So I started back in 2009. I would say almost 13 years now to be in business, which I love. The more I do, the more I love my job, and I love helping people. Honestly, when I started, it's just funny because I started with real estate investment, and by the time I learned all about investment, by the way, through your Rob, rockstar, how to shout on you, Rob. I love you so much. So I learned every class that Rob had to offer back then. Every month he will have Casa meetup group, right? And back then it's free, but it's okay. So everybody come in and learn all about investment. How do you do the best practice of be an investor, right? Because we learn different from different people. But with Rob, I have to say that he always going to give us a very good tip and always going to be the best practice. Don't start with like cut corner and all those things. I learned so good and learned from the best. However, I didn't really start flipping the home until a few years after, because I'm the person that if I'm not confident, I'm not feel good, I'm not going to do it. So in the same time, while I'm learning, I also serve my client as a residential real estate. And I start with my family friend and become
an expert.
An expert. In the last 3 years, I have a baby when I started. At least you will be there too. I'm very enjoy, even now, 13 years, I would say, even more passion. I've seen so many of my clients' success, and that is what I live for. Absolutely.
That's one of the things that I've loved. I've only been in it in a few years, right? But already I've seen clients. I'll give you an example. One client of mine that is probably going to have to list their house this year. I helped them buy only 2 years ago. And normally in that short of a time frame, you would think, they might have to take a loss, right? But we've run the numbers, and we're expecting that they may be able to hit 6 figures of net worth coming out of that.
So it was an expensive house to begin with.
It was an expensive house to begin with, and it appreciated like crazy over this last market. And they were renters before we bought that house. I can't think of another decision that they could have made that would have better improved their situation that year than to have bought that house. So I totally am on board with you. I see that kind of thing happen, and it's life-changing for people.
It is. For myself, too. I living proof, I can talk all day about real estate, but I don't want to cut Glenn off. Also,
cut me off, talk.
Yeah, so it's 23 home team. Now we get stronger, bigger because of my husband joined my team. So I let him introduce himself.
So Glenn, introduce yourself to us, please.
So I'm Glenn. Which direction did you want me to go? I mean, technically I got involved in real estate 24 years ago. I was doing construction, so window, siding, doors. Still do it. Window, siding, doors, roofing, garage door lifts, entry doors, sliding glass doors. So everything on the outside of the house, we kind of knew about before we actually got started in real estate.
So lots of. I was 8 years old when he started.
I'm an old guy.
Also, when I say that I started 13 years ago, he always be my back end. So anything I run into a problem, Glenn always help me. He's maybe private coaching that I didn't pay
the
him.
computer won't turn on.
Absolutely.
File won't upload. Computer won't turn on.
So everyone out there, definitely a wealth of experience here. I think where I would actually like to begin this then is by asking each of you if you could talk to yourself, 24 years ago, 13 years ago, right? What would you want to tell yourself? What are some of the wealth lessons that you've learned that you would want to impart?
Oh my God, there's so much lesson. Like one of the lessons that I really get mad at Glenn when I walk into the home that I show another client,
For
right?
all those married couples out there.
No, this is a well building, right? I still selling real estate. Yes, we talk about detail more, but when I start showing, already know 2009 market crash. And back then I saw the home is such a good price. And when I learned from Rob network, it's like, keep buying more home, keep buying, put 20% down, buy 6 homes in one time. I came home, I told Glenn, let's go for it. How much can you get the loan? I don't have an income that much at that time. My loan will be very small. Then he said, no, I don't want to do that. This is scary. The market just crashed. Let's buy one house cash and pay off. Then you can do more and more. I said, okay, if you buy one house cash, pay off, we lost all the down payment. And then I want to buy 6 houses in one. So I can still
it's the long story short is that for other people that are out there kind of listening, we had an opportunity to buy a fraction percentage of a tape. And a tape is back in 2009, there was entire real estate organizations that were set up to do foreclosures and short sales and what have you. So banks take a zip code and say, we got 5 houses that were foreclosed on, and we're going to sell them to one investor. So this one particular investor had 9 houses, and he said, I'll give you a third of a tape for these 3 houses. And we wound up purchasing 1 versus all 3. But the other 2 didn't, in my defense, did need a lot of work.
So. Needed a lot of work.
Well, at that time, he wasn't have that mindset of go for it, right? Because we kind of like a starting and baby step.
So let me ask you guys, you bought one of those houses during the market crash, right? When a lot of people are afraid and they're jumping out, you jumped in and you saw opportunity. How did that turn out for you?
So good.
Oh my God. It's ridiculous. I mean, it's obscene. It's life-changing. I have to be honest with you. It's life-changing. You don't expect I'll tell you a quick story. In 3rd grade, our teacher had, let's write out life goals. And everybody in the class wrote out life goals. And I wrote down, I wanted to be a millionaire by age 50. And she took the piece of paper. I remember she called me up there and she gave it to me. She goes, you can't write something like that down. I mean, I'm going back a long time. So, I mean, this is how the the expectations were, right? I said, well, this is what I really want. So, I mean, think about it. That thought has stuck in my mind since I was 6 or 7 years old, that one experience. But real estate has really kind of jettisoned you there. And what people don't realize, to put things in perspective, is 90% of all millionaires have come out of real estate, and there's a reason for that. There's some really good articles out there. You just search the internet, and you can find all the statistical data of people who have invested in real estate. And then there's other people that you wouldn't have known about that you see their commercials all over the place. I mean, Tony Robbins is one who started off selling seminars and self-help, and he got involved in real estate. And I can, the third baseman for the New York Yankees, A-Rod. I mean, he was emotionally scarred the same way that I was, and now he's got over $1 billion of real estate. So I know I'm not supposed to tap here. So
no, you're good. So, Gift, anything you want to elaborate on for what you would have told yourself 13 years ago?
You know what? We can't go back time, right? It's always an opportunity everywhere you're looking for. So after we've bought the first home, it's amazing that, the way I learned, I adapted at that time. We have a couple weeks for the closing. I advertise, I asked the listing agent, can I use your photo and everything, put on the rental right away? So the same day we had the settlement, I got a tenant, I handed a key. I never touched the home after that. So the home is being appreciated, right? And then the tenant is being maintained and paid on time. So that's one. So we have very successful first buy. Then I said, Glenn, let's just do it again. We did it, I think, every year after that we bought one home. You know, we accumulated
That's
up.
what Elise and I are trying to do.
Yes.
we're on the hunt. We were even looking at properties yesterday and today.
Yeah.
So we're constantly trying to see where's our next move going to be.
Right.
Glenn.
My story.
Yeah.
So it's the question that you ask can get really emotional depending upon the person that you ask the question to. For me, what it elicits is anybody who's seen the movie Shawshank Redemption. I mean, it's in the title, Redemption. And the one character played by Morgan Freeman, you know, he goes in front of the parole board like at his 10th year and he gets rejected. His 20th year he gets rejected. At his 30th year he goes in front of the parole board and he doesn't care at that point. What his character says to the parole board is that I can't go back in time. He says, but if I could, I would shake that stupid young man who's 20 years old and tell him to, you know, kind of wake up and, you know, get a hold of your life. Start thinking. Don't do stupid things because everything has a consequence out there. And then, of course, anybody who's watched the movie ends off, you know, with this beautiful sunset, you know, them walking on a beach with his friend and, you know, just rebuilding a boat. So, you know, if you could go back in time, you know, I would probably do the same thing. I was an athlete at one time, so I understand, you know, discipline. I understand commitment. I understand giving 100%. I always wanted a mentor at that age. Anybody just to say to me, hey, just follow these steps. 1, 2, 3, 4. I now know what those steps are. 1, 2, 3, 4. To the point where my kids come up to me and say, hey, I've saved this much money from birthdays, from Christmas, from holidays. Do I have enough money to buy a rental house now? That's how it's infused in them. So my kids know these, you know, principles of success and inside of real estate. They don't know the underpinning currents of how real estate works, but they will know that. But they know the general principles. So you don't have to worry about your kids if you know what these principles are in real estate. So.
Yeah. So I'm kind of hearing from each of you. I'm hearing from Glenn. A lot of it has to do with finding a mentor, understanding that there is a model, and that if you can follow that model, that you can be successful and it can make a life-changing difference.
Absolutely.
And from Gift, I'm hearing a lot about activity. You have to do it. It's not enough to just have the model. You have to have the courage to step in when others step back.
Right. Yeah. So just to put things in perspective, we conflict a lot in our personalities because we are so complementary. So in other words, you know, where my weaknesses are, Gift is very strong and vice versa. One of the things is that she's very emotional. You see, when she first started talking about her journey, she was all excited and enthusiastic about, you know, Rob Chavez and the process that he brought in, where I was a little bit more, you know, stodgy or more intellectual about it, looking at the numbers. So it makes for a good relationship. So you have to kind of know your strengths and know your weaknesses as well too. So not only have a plan, we both came from the same thing, right? Her experience was triggered through these Rob Chavez seminars, and that's where her enthusiasm, you know, kind of sparked. Whereas I came from it from a different type of angle.
Yeah, absolutely. So guys, what I'd like to ask you is if maybe we could tell a story about one of your clients that might be illustrative of some of these success stories, right? Do either of you have something in mind we could share?
Yeah, I can share. So over time, I have so many clients and friends, right, looking at me under immigrant. As you hear that, my English is not the best. But I don't want that to hold me back. I just do what I love and I enjoyed it. And then many of people seen that and it's like, oh, I want to become like you. How do I do that? So when they're listening to me, I give them what I have passion about. So I have a few clients. I would say many, but I just want to give you a few samples today. Some of the clients that I taught them how to look at the investment, long-term building wealth through real estate. Is they're just like, oh, how do you get all the money? How you get all the loan? I explain to them, this is what we do. If you can access to your financial, bring it out and then put into, down payment, buy multiple property and do the same thing we do, right? Duplicate that. So they gone farther than us. So some of the clients took all their 401k, borrow for all their money from the investment, the business, and do the flipping, not just only our area. They said, oh, our area is so tight, they have to spend so much, and they go outside the area, and, they grew up from that area. I forgot, it's Dallas or something. So anyway, from Panya and Gay. Yeah, they have a family there, and I know they know the area pretty well. So they bought a bunch of homes, flip in that area, which is much cheaper in Northern Virginia. So they're very happy.
Circa 2014. So you got to go back. It's like the stock market. People say, hey, look, you want to be a position trader. Okay, well, is my position an hour? Is my position a day? Is my position a week? Is my position... So 2014, you were able to do this a lot easier.
Yeah, so they did that. And now they have multiple property. They've done so many flipping. They've been travel the world because of that, not just income come from that regular job, right? They have income through real estate. They have all this stuff. That's a sample. And then the other client that I actively working right now, she's like me because her husband is engineer. As you know, engineer, they're all about the number. So even though the wife's like, I'm on with Gift, I'm going to do everything she told me. But the husband doesn't sell on that. So then he have to take time. So I taught her how to look at the property. They start with themselves. They stay in the small home in very close by Northern Virginia. Then they sold their small home. They moved to the bigger house and they buy a multiple property. Now they end up like today. We just wrote the offer this morning, so that will be number 10 of their transaction that I work with them. So,
Wow. So let me see if I can recap some of what I heard here. So, as an immigrant coming in, you connected really well with a lot of people who saw themselves in you, and they wanted to have the kind of success that you've had. So, also partnering from what Glenn said about the mentorship, you were able to now, instead of being the mentee, you were the mentor, and you were able to show these people how to do it, ABC.
Yes.
And of course, being Gift, you had a lot of activity, let's go, right? And you've even had a client who you said has done 10 deals with you, they're traveling the world, and this is the power of real estate.
Yes, it is.
It's amazing. And you even mentioned different markets are different, right? Northern Virginia is very much an appreciation market. I think you all would agree.
Yeah.
So one of my 2 cents that I would throw in here, see if you guys agree with me. For people who are renting right now, if they would just take the step of at least owning where they live,
right?
You don't even have to be a landlord yet. You could just see your net worth grow from the fact that you live here in Northern Virginia. And I mean, no one can predict the future, but if the past is anything to go off of, your net worth is going to grow just from owning the property where you live here in Northern Virginia, because this is such a high appreciation market. I mean, do you guys have any disagreement with that? Or?
I'm older than you, so just by a couple of years. But if you bought in February, the end of last week of February 2006, it probably wouldn't have worked out too well for you, which is fine. But every market has its cycle. So if you held on to that house from 2006 up to 2019, around 2018 you broke even, and then now you're off to the races. You probably have 100,000 or plus, because 2006 here in the DC market was like the pinnacle of the pinnacle. People were buying houses, holding on to them for a month, and making $20,000.
Yeah. So let's talk about that for a second, because this kind of brings up maybe some do's and don'ts. Because it is possible to lose even in a game that is so in your favor like real estate. There are ways to mess this up. So Glenn, maybe what comes to mind for you when it comes to real estate do's and don'ts?
So I don't think you can mess it up unless you just sell while it's down. I think real estate is very forgivable. In case in point, the story I just told you. As far as do's and don'ts, there's a gazillion different strategies out there in real estate. One of the most two of the weirdest strategies out there, and both of these people make money, is I have one client who only buys new condos. That's all they buy. They cheat a little bit when they do it, because every time they buy a condo, say, hey, I'm going to move into it, and they do move into it for the first 90 days, and then they rent it out and go out and buy another new condo. He did this all throughout between 1999 and I'm going to say 2006. And that strategy worked really good at that time period. We have another client of ours who buys 5-bedroom houses in Fairfax County, and then they rent those houses out back to the county, because the county has a demand for those that have mental disabilities. So the county wants to rent out houses to make them feel, part of the community, have a home life, and they need 5 bedrooms. So this particular person's strategy is just to buy these specialty type of houses. So there is a niche for everybody. You just have to find out what your niche is. But as far as do's and don'ts, the first one is that real estate. You have to have a stomach for real estate, first of all. But whether or not real estate is for you if you have an HVAC company come out every fall and spring and change your filters inside the house. Real estate's probably not.
I like that. Yeah. That's a good test.
Yes, probably not for you. Or you don't know where the main shutoff valve is for the water main coming into your house. If or you don't know how to where the fuse box is and how to flip a fuse, or how to find the little red tab on the inside of the fuse. If these type of things, I'll go even more silly, like boiling water, right? If you don't know how to change a light bulb. But if these kind of things, there's probably real estate isn't for you. So people always push me back at this point, and they say, well, I'm still interested in real estate. I'm just going to get a property management company. Well, you can kiss, anywhere from 7 to 10% of your profits away. And if you're buying your first real estate property, you kind of want to be a little bit more hands-on, so you understand the process. A lot of people, they want to get to this crazy cash flow of, $2,500 a month extra, $10,000, $20,000, $50,000. We've got one client who makes, north of $80,000 a month on their real estate portfolio. And that's all here in the DC area. But you can't get there until you buy your first one. And he's has 45 properties. So, but he started off with one and then figured it out. And now he can, cookie cut that process and grow that as much as he wants.
Yeah, absolutely. It makes me think of the age-old adage that you need to understand what you're investing in. If you don't know how that thing makes money, you shouldn't be putting your money there. Right. Which, again, is why I think the easiest first step for anyone who wants to follow a real estate model is own where you live. Because you're going to find out pretty quick how to manage those light bulbs and the HVAC if you're the one who has to deal with the problem and it's not the landlord's problem.
Yeah,
right?
and on top of you two, I would say, just back to myself and our experience, right? Before that, we don't know much about real estate until we get into. To me, it's all about knowledge. Right? Once you feel comfortable, you know what you're doing, you know your number, you know local market, you understand the whole process, then you're ready to go. So that's why I successful teaching a lot of people that is follow me or they're willing to do what I say. Same thing, right? Back to the mentorship, back to, okay, who is successful before you? Why don't we just tag along with that person? Or willing to pay coaching. If you don't pay coaching, then go to the class. So many things now we learn from us. Like now, podcast. Hey, hello, Haymarket. Listening to this and share to your friend.
That's right. It's so true. I know for myself, my first year in real estate was a whirlwind of learning. And a lot of it was, I realized that my position as the realtor in the transaction was to be a connector. Every time a problem surfaced, it wasn't actually my direct problem to fix. My problem was connecting who's going to fix this.
Yes.
It's a who, not how, right? And I think that's a valuable lesson for most people to realize, is that in life, to get from where you are to where you want to be, it's a who, not a how problem. You don't have to be the one boots on the ground doing every single thing, right? I'm not the one conducting the home inspection. But because I've attended 100 of them, I've learned a lot.
Yes.
Right? And so through osmosis, you can pick up a lot of things just by putting yourself around the right people. So that would be one of my tips, at least from this, is think who, not how, the next time you have a problem. And if you're not sure who is, maybe call your realtor if it's a real estate question, because if they don't know the answer directly, and I'll be honest, sometimes I don't. But I do know who does, and I can point you in the right direction.
Yeah, I mean, you need two networks, really. You need a network of vendors, painters, electricians, plumbers, drywall, etc. And then the second network is you need an advisory network. So people who have done this more than you have, or just to kick around a strategy. I mean, generally the math will tell you whether or not it's a feasible strategy or not. So yeah, two networks. One is the suppliers, and then the other one is the know-how and the knowledge.
I love it.
Yep.
All right, you guys. Well, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of listeners out there who are going to want to get in touch with you. So what's the best way?
So the best way, I would say, just call us or contact us through any social media platform that you're on. We are very active on online presence, Instagram, Facebook, gift.hughes or 23 Home. I think that will be the right one.
Yeah,
right?
23homes.com is really the best. And one other thing too is people who are interested in real estate, on our website we actually have a day-by-day, blow-by-blow, hour-by-hour house flip, where Gift and I actually took a video of us driving to look at a house.
Super cool.
And then from after that, driving to the closing, and we forgot insurance at the time, so we were literally calling our insurance agent. I mean, there's a lot of detail that goes into purchasing a house on an investment side. When you do it for yourself, your agent should shepherd you through the entire process. But when you're buying an investment property, you're pretty much on your own unless you have someone who's there holding your hand.
Yeah.
So we have
really
some
cool.
of the good video that we put on YouTube as well. Is under 23 Home.
23 Homes, yeah. You can find it very easily.
Some of the flipping home that we had done from, very nasty. We prepare for that until beautiful staging and sell that. I haven't.
People love a good before and after.
Right. We're having so much fun with
Yeah.
that. But other than that, we are still here in Northern Virginia, Herndon, Reston, as the same office with you, Daniel.
Awesome.
So we really look forward to meet the new building wealth team, because we are here in the ALC team in Reston. Coming up very soon, we're gonna have the class. Right, Glenn?
Yep.
So we will post it on, and then personally, again, you probably know how much I'm passionate about real estate. If you want to know more about that, we can also have a private talk, with the experienced agent, with the I'll call myself experience solution, and success with ease. I have to be success with ease.
The other part too is, anybody who's listening to this, Daniel is exceptional real estate agent and investor. You guys know just about everything there is to know about real estate. So a lot of times it comes down to personality. He's got a great bedside manner. He's really easygoing and is extremely knowledgeable. So I would also call Daniel, and just pick up the phone and ask him how things are going.
Well, thank you, Glenn. I'll pay you after. All right. Thank you guys so much for coming today. And I really hope to have you on again soon.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
See? That's easy.
Good, right?
Really good.
Yeah.
Great questions.
Yeah, you asked the right
good-
question. It's really nailed it
guidance.
down to listening very well.